you guys, it's Dani. We are talking about the decks I used in July today. So while I normally don't set myself like, oh, I'm going to use these few decks this month and that's it. I've tried a many time to do that, but it never quite works out. So I just kind of let that go. Like, it's not going to happen. I will put some in my forefront, but like, I'm not going to pick it out and say I'm going to use these because it never works that way. Like, it just doesn't. Except for one, which I did a bit of a deck study on this month, which was the Blood Moon Tarot. That's like the only exception where I was like, oh, I am going to be studying this deck this month. I want to read about it and use it and understand it because there felt like there was something intangible to it. So unless I'm doing that, I normally don't pick the decks that I'm going to use. So at the end of the month, I just kind of reflect upon what I did use. Like, what did I use the most? And so I wanted to share that with you guys. So this month, well, let's start with the Blood Moon Tarot since I've already talked about it. So like I said, this month I did a bit of a study with my Mystic fam as well on the Blood Moon Tarot. So, let me show you. So I made this little bag for it with the Lover's card and just like put the name on it because I didn't care for the box all that much. Let me grab it so I can show y'all. Now, this is not because it's not a beautiful box. I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's gorgeous. But like I don't know. It's a little, I'm just scared to mess it up. It's not as sturdy as I would like. There's a little bit of warpedness. But again, I live in a very humid climate. I try to keep my space dehumidified. It doesn't always work. So because it was a little wonky, I just thought I'd put this on my shelf and I'd make a little bag because I just don't want to get the whole thing ruined. Anyway, aside from that, let's talk a little bit about the Blood Moon. So this is a beautiful gilded tarot. These are the backs. And when I tell you, now they're going to be all which way. Y'all know they're going to be. I don't know why I do this. I'm just going to show this. It is a beautiful deck. Each suit, as well as the majors, have different borders around them. There are different suits, though all the majors are named, I almost said named correctly, named traditionally. But we have the skins, the songs, dreams, and honey for our suits. So honey being the pentacles, dreams being the swords, skins are the wands, and songs, I thought I was going to be lucky and find one of each right away. Songs are the cups. And I will say, this is a beautiful deck, but I don't feel like it's an everyday use kind of deck, if that makes any sense. I really enjoyed using it. I kind of put it through its paces in the sense that I did some of the spreads that were in the back of the book. I have the art book here. Let me show you. I have the big art book, which is gorgeous. Look at this. Stunning. Each card does have a keyword in the book, as well as almost like a little passage as to what's going on, and then the meanings. They don't do reverse meanings, just flat meanings, which I don't mind. I'm the type of reader where it doesn't matter if it's up or reversed. Energy is energy. It's going to come through however it's going to come through. So while I don't I say I don't read reversals, I read the energy. So I guess it just kind of whatever. But this deck, I find, it's got this sumptuous energy to it, and I think that has a lot to do with the way that it's drawn. There's a lot of honey. Obviously, one of our suits are called Honey, but it is almost dreamlike, and I'm gonna say something really strange. It's like a thickness. There's like a thickness to this deck where I don't feel like it's great for every kind of reading, but I do think it has its place for some more, like, I don't know, like, I'm going to say slow moving energy, like slow moving questions, like what's going to be happening in my life over the next year, maybe like a year ahead, something that moves a little slowly, not days. We're talking weeks, months, years. I feel like that's where it's like niche is for me personally. Now, that could be completely different for everybody else. Everything is subjective, obviously. But for me personally, I feel like it's got longevity to its energy. And so when I found myself kind of drawn to this deck, it was those kind of questions or those kind of spreads that I felt it had the best answers to. Really did well on like new moon stuff. Anyway, beautiful deck. Loved working with it. I don't think this is going to be something that's an everyday. I'm glad that I was able to read more about it. Like, I'm glad I have the book to get those messages, because I feel like some of the imagery was lost on me before, if I'm being honest. So there is I'm going to say there's a learning curve if you're trying to figure out what exactly is going on the card. I feel like sometimes there is a learning curve, but I didn't mind it. Once I read through it, I feel like I have the energy of the deck now, and I know where it is in my collection and how I'm going to use it. As for right now, I definitely think this is one that's going to stay with me for quite a while, because I did enjoy its energy, and I love its slow-moving sumptuousness, its thickness, as art and as an energy. So I really found its place in my collection, I think, for now. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Next, I want to talk about what became a very fast favorite and the oracle that I used all month long with a ton of different decks, and that is Cottage Witch Oracle. Y'all, I love this. So I snagged this deck off of Etsy from our sweet Krista at Crochet Witch Wares. And can we just talk about this lovely little patch sewn onto this adorable bag? And look. It's acorns. I love this. Okay. I bought the expansion pack. These are the backs. They are on like a linen cardstock. I want to say this feels a bit like Make Playing Cards linen cardstock. Regardless, I love it. It is, watch. Look. You hear that snap? It is flexible. To shuffle it is amazing. And it's, even with the expansion pack, like, it's about the size of a tarot. Look, and I can kind of show you. Do you see? We have a lot of cards in here. I wish I could remember how many, but I don't. Listen, we come prepared. We just don't come that prepared. Okay. Anyway, these are so great. They are simple. They are very cottagecore, since we are the Cottage Witch Oracle. But it is so within my aesthetic. Like, look at this. So we have what looks like a piece of paper taped with the name of whatever's on here. So we have the stag and our keyword. We have botanicals. We have animals. We have like, I guess I would call them like places, because we do have like cottage. But we have tons of animals, bears, skunks. Then we have holly. We have trees, cedar. I was trying to show, look at this pumpkin. I love the images that were chosen, and they really do correspond well. There's a possum in here. So y'all know I have this. There's a possum in it. I mean, wait. That's my animal, man. That's my animal. We have some oats. Like, it's so well done. It's so smart. And it also some objects, candle with ritual. I love this card. So all in all, not only do I love the aesthetics, but I feel like every deck that I paired it with, it was flawless. I paired it with quite a few different things, including, I want to say, all of the decks that I have to show here, aside from the other Oracle, I paired this deck with, among many others. I don't feel like it's overpowering. I don't feel like it's too obtuse. It's like right in the middle, where there's just enough to add to whatever your reading is. I thought that this was lovely. And of course, I love to support our tarot community, and this was it was one of my favorite purchases, and I used the crap out of this Oracle all month long, and I foresee using it again in August and throughout the fall once it gets here. I wish it would hurry. We're not going to talk about weather. Anyway, let's move on. So next, Transient Light Tarot. This is by Ari Weisner. I use the crap out of this as well. Like, this is a chunker. Look at that. Anyway, I loved the whole vibe. Muted, limited color palette. Y'all know I'm already sold. We're having a beige moment, okay? Like, beige is part of my aesthetic. Muted colors, simplistic style. I love the fact that our borders are just the same color as the backgrounds for the most part. We literally have navy, green, beige, or like a tan and white. Maybe not so much beige, tan and white, like almost like craft paper, and it's beautiful. I really enjoy the fact that we have virtually no humans. We have hands. We have like disembodied things. Now our Fool, I believe, has it, but this is another one I put on the same vein as the Fifth Spirit. Is it Fifth Spirit? Spirit. I didn't want to say the name wrong. It's kind of like in the minors on the Fifth Spirit, where it's modern, but it's just simple concepts versus like full scenes. It's like the perfect way for me, my favorite type of modern deck, where it doesn't quite feel modern, but we have things like paints, right? But there's no people, there's no things like that involved. Now this one, even the court cards are not really people-y. I think we have something for the Fool. Now we have, like I said, like hands, people manipulating things, but we're not seeing who these people are, what they look like, anything like that. And I appreciate that, because I really enjoy just having that simple moment. And I feel like a lot of the decks that I've been drawn towards, like Fifth Spirit, like this one, like the the moon deck. Pause. This one here that I got off of Etsy, where it's like it's not people-y. People are not people-ing in here. You know, it's just simple, conceptual. We got disembodied hands and that's about it. I'm really digging these kind of decks right now. It's just like what I'm going towards. And I feel like I am going towards a more simplistic, I wouldn't say like simplistic way of reading, because that's not true. But like a simplistic style of cards. And while I find myself being really drawn to this more simple style of art in my decks right now, it doesn't mean that I don't still love full situations and all this stuff. That is my favorite. But right now I'm feeling very, very compelled to use a more simplistic style cards for my readings, especially for myself, because I feel like there's more wiggle room for my intuition to kind of expand and really listen to the energy that's coming through. Like, I'm really enjoying the open space of decks right now. So I have been kind of leaning in to these types of decks, you know, where there is that simplicity to it. Look at this Eight of Vessels. Gosh, I really love this. Anyway, we have our little elephant. This one's the Proclaimer. So we do have a few different we do have a few different names for our majors. The Revealer is our High Priestess. Look at our vessels. The Champion of Vessels. Anyway, I've been thoroughly enjoying this deck. These are the backs. Now, I will say, being a big, chunky deck, it's not the easiest to shuffle right now. And I say right now because I do feel like the more I'm going to use it, the more this is going to loosen up. Even though I've used it quite a bit this month, like, I'm still trying to like really get it to soften up a bit. But it does shuffle well. I did break it apart a few times because it was so thick. And I have really big hands. I say that all the time. My hands are quite large. This is standard size. So you can see my hands are quite large. They're quite long. So I normally don't have a huge problem with a thicker deck. But when those cards are not as pliable, it does make it a little bit harder. So if you do have small hands, if you have trouble, you might have to break this deck apart, at least into two. And then I feel like you can get a better grip. Do you see? It's more comfortable to break up in half and then just kind of put them all together. And I wonder why all my decks are like every which way. That's why. Because I do crazy stuff. And I'll just take one out and I'll just put it in however I feel like it. I don't pay attention. Like I said, we come prepared. We don't come that prepared. We're upside down and inside out. It's fine. So all in all, I'm really enjoying this deck. I feel like I'm definitely not done yet. I'm in some slowly creeping autumn aesthetic right now. I think it's because it's so hot. I only want to think about the fact that fall is coming. Not soon, but it is coming. I just want to feel like it's here. So I've been in that aesthetic all month long. Is it time for coffee? Let's take a sip of coffee. Okay, so I'm obsessed with this coffee right now. So this is from Jet. It's a local coffee shop. It's like my favorite, all-time favorite. Okay. This is called a Cloud 9. It's like white chocolate mocha and vanilla swirl iced with oat milk. Obsessed. Obsessed. Anyway, on to our next deck that I use this month. Roots and Wings. Y'all, this oracle, it's so good. The feel. I love this cardstock too. Look, upside down. I love this cardstock. Again, another very simplistic style. Everything, I mean, aside from Blood Moon Tarot, which was, maybe that's why. Blood Moon Tarot was filled from top to bottom, side to side with symbolism and imagery like all over, so interwoven. You had to like stare at it, look and see what was happening. Everything else, aside from the very last one that I'm going to talk about, everything else I used this month was so simplistic. So maybe that's why I felt the need to go with such simplistic things elsewhere. Makes a lot of sense. Never thought about it until I just spoke about it. But Roots and Wings, another one that I bought off of Etsy. Love this deck. It is not new. It is an older one, but I am still enjoying the hell out of it. It's still sort of new to me. I haven't had it for that long. And I don't use oracles enough. I don't use them as often as I use other forms of card divination. But I still absolutely love them. And I feel like they have a really great place in readings. They have such a unique voice. And this was definitely a top one for me. Look at this card. This healer. And it's another one that I put against quite a few different decks this month. And so I really felt like I got to know this deck a little bit more. And I still thoroughly enjoy it. And I can't get enough. I love this, like, I guess it's like a rose petal or like a really soft matte. I don't know. It's very soft and soothing. And I love the feel of it. It doesn't always bode well for movement because it does get a little stuck, right? But that's just the cardstock. That's just the type of cardstock it is. I don't mind it at all. It does shuffle really well. For such a thick little deck, look at this, look at this. Can you see the bend? Look at that. Oh, yeah, swatch. I'm going to do it again. Check this bend out. Do you see that bend? Perfectly movement. I love this cardstock so much. But you know what I was just thinking though? Like as I just shuffled and I'm seeing this card, you know what would pair so well with this, aesthetically speaking? Mesquite Tarot. I did not use that with it this month, although now that I'm thinking about it, that simplistic vibe, I may take that out later today and use the Mesquite Tarot with Roots and Wings. I do think they would pair really well together, and I do think that they have the same kind of energy as far as like this like earthy energy, very grounding. I find the Mesquite Tarot has that as well. It's so simplistic, but there is something very earthy about it, even though it's like pinks and blues and greens. I do feel like it would really go well with Roots and Wings, so I might try that, and I'll let you guys know. I haven't used Mesquite Tarot like as a workhorse in a while. I'll pull it out every once in a while, but I do love that tarot. It is an indie deck from, oh my God, years ago. I've been having it for a really long time. It is out of print. They had talked about reprinting it. I don't know if that ever is going to happen. But if you have the Mesquite Tarot, or if you can get your hands on it, it is a lovely little deck. It's small. It's like bridge size, maybe? I think it's what it's called. Bridge size? Anyway. Yada yada. Okay, last deck. And I saved it for last because it's Mystic Masters. And I wanted to include this because I don't use it all the time. It stays on my desk all the time. Look. That's what this is right here. This is my little pouch that I use for my Mystic Masters. So I'm sure you guys see it on my desk all the time. It's always right here, no matter what. But I don't always pull it out and use it. But this month, I used the crap out of Mystic Masters. I had a couple of client requests to use these. I use this also for... Oh, I was going to say, did I use it for my Mystic fam when we did our readings? But I don't think I did. Or maybe I don't remember. Anyway. But I did use Mystic Masters quite a bit this month. Not only did it stay on my desk, but it was used quite often. There is something about I think there's something about the readings that I did this month that I wanted to feel a true connection to what I was reading about and what I was using to read with. That I think that's why I went a little more towards Mystic Masters, because knowing this the way that I do, and I find this is the same with decks that I study, that I really like read everything and study the imagery and understand the symbolism or create my own symbolism toward. When I really spend a lot of time with a deck, I feel more confident in the way that I read, because I feel like the second I see this card, no matter which way the energy flows, I'm going to get the clear message that's coming through. And so that's what I was really hunting for with a lot of readings this month. And so Mystic Masters played a huge role. Like I said, I did have clients that requested it when I did their readings. And so it really solidified kind of that energy for me. And honestly, it looked beautiful next to the Cottage Witch Oracle. It does great next to Roots and Wings. So it fit with the aesthetic. And while Mystic Masters is a little more filled to the brim with chaos, I had those other decks to kind of counterbalance in the same way that I had for the Blood Moon Tarot. So I guess like doing these reflections is kind of making me understand why I gravitated towards some of these, just to kind of balance out the energy that I was kind of in the mix with. Now, I will say that I'm drawn to, because these are mostly the decks that I use like for me. Yes, I use them with clients. I use them with my Mystic fam, especially if I'm like drawn towards a certain deck for quite a while. I'll bring it into the readings that I do for Mystic fam. So I get to try it out. If I don't read with it for a client, I'll read with it for my live readings, so I can really get a feel for the decks that I'm using. But a lot of times the decks that I talk about with you guys, kind of like a wrap up, is what I've been drawn to personally to use for the months ahead. Now this month, like I said, I did use Mystic Masters quite a bit, and I used Blood Moon Tarot for my Mystic fam readings. Which gave me a really good perspective because I was studying this deck. It really helped see like a wider gambit of kind of spreads and energies and readings. So it was very interesting. So I do like being able to talk about the decks that I personally were drawn to over like the decks that I use for clients, because that changes so dramatically and it's very rare. very, very, very rare that I'm like, I've been using this for clients all month long. Like, that's just not how I read. So that's a little caveat on, decks for the month is usually ones that I've been drawn to and I use for myself. I'm not saying that I don't use them for clients that month, but these are the decks that I've been drawn to. So I don't know if that matters or like is important to anyone, but I just kind of wanted to be clear that these are the decks that I've been drawn to versus like decks that I'm drawn to work for clients, because that changes so dramatically. That's a client by client basis. So anyway, it was hella fun as usual, hanging out with you guys, talking tarot. We will be back very soon. If you're looking for these decks, if I have the links available, I will put them down below. I think everything is still in print. Maybe, I don't know about Blood Moon Tarot though, if I'm being honest. I don't know. But whatever we have, I'll put them down below for you guys. Also, there are going to be links down below to book a reading with me, my Mystic fam, 3 fat readers, all kinds of stuff. So check out the links down below if you want to. If not, that's cool. If you like this video, thumbs up. If not, that's cool too. We're just here. We're just having fun. Anyway, I will talk to you all very soon. I'm sending you all my love. Mwah. Later, Gators.